Hey everyone, it's Mike from Junkion Crafts and Builds. I am back from Toy Tour Expo in New Jersey this past Sunday, August 17th, 2025, and it was an absolute thrill. Just the amazing YouTube talents that were on hand, giving panels, as well as just some amazing vendors, including the Four Horsemen Studios and Valaverse. But what are we talking about here tonight is the early release of the Toy Con New Jersey September 2025 Valaverse exclusive, the Infantry Commando 2.0. Normally we kind of breeze through packaging because as collectors and fans we want to get the stuff out of it so we can play around with it. But this time I'm going to give a little more attention to it because we have some new things happening with the Infantry Commando 2.0. But first and foremost, all of them are going to come in this cardboard box. Has an amazing print from the super talented Quentin J. Bedwell. I can't say enough about him. He is just the greatest. But this is a really cool image of it. Nothing on the sides, nothing on the back. This time it is taped across the top and bottom, unlike the last exclusive. So we're just going to go ahead and pop this open. And here is the packaging. So as you can see, everything is wide open, you know, and available for you to see. So back at DFW, Bobby was saying that he was going to redesign the packaging to make it more collector friendly. And that's what we have here. As you can see, there's only one strip of that elastic band holding the figure in place, but we actually have collector friendly packaging similar to the Mythic Legions. So what does that mean? That's different now because we have these plastic strips that go around the blister card and allow you to slide it back, and boom, there is everything fully accessible for you and ready for you to take out. You can put him back in the packaging and seal it back up, and then the only thing you have to show that it was actually open was that you remove the plastic band. But you are potentially going to see a little wear and tear as you slide this in and out of the plastic. Or if you start maneuvering things around, there is a chance that the plastic may start bending, and that's simple enough. You can just kind of press it back in, or if you wish to heat it up a little bit and get it back in position, you can do so. But while we're here, let's go ahead and look at the back of this. We have that nice promo shot of the Infantry Commando that we saw back at DFW. Action Force Valaverse across the bottom. Here is the file card for the Infantry Commando, if you want to read it. And spoiler alert, it is exactly the same as the original Infantry Commando, and he's worth 3 points. And not that you need it, but there's the UPC code for the Infantry Commando 2.0. And of course we get all the packaging and design mentions and everything else 2025. So without further ado, let's get him out of the packaging and really talk about the Infantry Commando 2.0. So here's the Infantry Commando out of the packaging, but here's a little PSA to begin with. There are some parts of this figure that are going to be a little difficult to get out of the packaging, and I want to give you fair warning about it. And that's going to be the alternate head is in there very, very tightly. All right, so just be aware of that. The little accessory here is in there fairly decently, not tight. Same thing with the nods. Hands obviously still come out fairly easy. The backpack is also in here very tight. Okay, so just FYI, the AR is in there decent. The other two items for the headpiece aren't in there. These are not very tightly vacuum sealed around, so that's why there's tape across here. Be very careful. I do recommend that you push these items from the back, but if you are heavy-handed, just be aware that if you push really hard, there could be a chance that you break the plastic casing here in order to get it out. If you're not a mint and box collector, it doesn't matter to you. There's your public service announcement from Junkion Crafts and Builds. You're welcome. So let's start talking about this figure. This, of course, as an exclusive, also has a variant, and that is 100 of these figures come with a multicam Steel Brigade helmet, which I'll put an image up here, maybe? I don't know, here or here. Whatever works. One of them, a good friend in the 3POA and an amazing customizer, Mr. Tim Tazer, who also has a lucky rabbit's foot in his pockets at all times, because it is not the first time that he has lucked out and gotten a Chace figure for these exclusives. He was nice enough to provide these images of it, so I want to thank you, Tim, for your help in showcasing this awesome figure. Let's go ahead and start looking at the aesthetics of this guy. And as you can see, we do have a lot of new pieces. Now, the body buck itself, right? It's the same buck we've seen a combination of with both the Zolokon Steel Brigade and the 5.5 army builders of the Maritime, the Ghost Operator, and the Crimson Infantry, which we will look at here as we continue with the video. But aesthetically, as you can see here, a new head, right? And we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we get into the accessories. But it's really cool. You know, I do like this new sculpt. It's definitely all one piece. The paltours do not come off, right? It's all sculpted together. But we have this really nice texture on the mask. And we have this beanie hat here, right? Looks pretty good. And glasses are sculpted in place. And then we have this awesome camo deco. And it's just a really awesome woodland camouflage. And it goes all the way around. Again, we have that modernized, this tactical shirt that all the figures are wearing. It has these outlines here in tan. We have a darker tan plate armor. Connects in the back. We have our textured plates here. We have our straps to go across the top. We have our handset here on there strapped in. Nice texture throughout. And we have this nice medic pouch here with forceps, and I'm assuming you know, like a pen light or something along those lines, again strapped across there. And then we have pouches across the front, even a textured zipper. Again, the deco goes all the way around the figure. All right, looks really good. We have our thigh holster with our sidearm. We have our mag holder, knee guards, and then we have the blouse down pants or trousers, going to these modernized military boots. It's just a really awesome looking, you know, deco. But before we get to comparisons and everything else about this figure, let's get into accessories. So when we start talking about accessories, there are a couple of things that are synonymous with Valaverse that we're going to knock out pretty quick. First and foremost is he comes with the Action Force stand, or 6 pegs, slot in the back for the combat profile, simple tan plastic. Of course, we have our usual assortment of hands. We got out of the box a pair of trigger hands that you see there, a pair of fists on horizontal hinges, our usual C-grip item holding hands on vertical hinges, and of course our C-cupping hands also on horizontal hinges. So that's the common stuff we get. So the first thing we're going to look at is this new backpack. But this is not the first newly sculpted backpack we've seen. We also had the backpack for the Zolokon Steel Brigade. Yeah, this is a pretty good looking backpack. Again, the sculpt and the detail on this, the texture is really nice. We got this painted clip, a lot of carabiners painted on here, 2 more on this side, as well as some rope. Again, also clipped in place here. We have this nice big pouch and texture across the top. And like every other Valaverse backpack, you have the potential to open it up to store items inside. It is a little bit of a pickle to pull out initially, especially if you don't have any nails. But again, the texture continues on to the back side of the backpack. And we got this simple peg that is pretty firm. It has a little bit of give with it, but that's pretty good. Next, of course, we have his AR. And we saw this weapon already with the Steel Brigade. Again, nicely sculpted. We have a muzzle brake in the front. We would have an open sight here, but again, just with the sculpt, it's all kind of blocked in. We have a removable mag with this honeycomb design on. We also have, again, the 2 more removable mags on his thigh. Next, we have his sidearm, and for good or ill, it is the modified Maxim 9 sidearm that we received with the Steel Brigade. Again, nice black sculpt work here. Blast effect compatible, so it is what it is. It's nice. We have this holster, like I said, holds it in place very well. But now let's zoom in for the rest. So like I pointed out in the aesthetics, we got this new sculpted head. Proportionally, maybe that's just me, with Series 5, the heads do seem a little larger or a little wider. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just my eyes on it. But again, let me know in the comments what you think about it. But like I said, it's really cool. You know, lots of motion that you can get with this head. But we also have an alternate head. So let's remove this one. Comes off fairly easy. But we also have this alternate head, which again does not have the Paltors attached to it, but it is a full balaclava style. Again, really nice texture across the entire head sculpt. Nice little wrinkles and stuff to show that it's been kind of pulled tight and cinched around. Again, sculpted in visor, but again, the head just goes on really easy, and that is how the alternate head looks. Some might say it's a little plain looking, but that's okay because we have our helmet. And again, this is nothing new. It's the ACH we're kind of used to, with some new sculpting though around the back here and the top. Looks good. We have our port for our quad nods, but now we also have this newly sculpted face shield that goes around. Now it won't, just warning, this helmet obviously will not go on the other head. It is meant for this one. To get this in, I'm going to remove that face shield on this ACH, and you can see now the old ones we had just the two. Now we have a third port on either side, and that's going to be for some of the other accessories that we have here. So simply goes on without any problem, just so you can see how it looks. The front port and the back port on either side. All right, it's not as hard, it's just my finger fumbling around, but that's how he looks now with that face guard on. But it does sit, you know, pretty much flush against the face. Does not hinder looking up or looking down, so that's a cool thing. But we also have some customizable options for this helmet. And this is the warning, a lot of these accessories are small and can be easily lost. So please be careful when you are messing with the accessories and customizing your Infantry Commando. Another mainstay we have here are the quad nods. Holds really well, but now we have some new customizable pieces. And we're gonna start with the smallest one first because we have the face shield on. And that is this very, very tiny little, either it's a cam or a flashlight, whatever your heart desires. But you can see it's tiny, dude. And it's got this one little peg. And now we can utilize it here on this additional port by just plugging it in and adjusting it as such. So now we have, like I said, it can be a camera, it can be a light. So that's pretty cool. But we're not done yet. We have another way to configure this helmet. So let's go ahead and do that. What we're going to have to do though is remove the face guard, because in order to use these other two pieces, we cannot have the face shield on at the same time. We have a new way of having our Paltors on, and we get it in two pieces. This is the one piece that actually has the microphone on. This feels a little more substantial and you know, looks a lot better. But we have a peg in the back, and it's going to plug into this back port here. So you can see where it's covering where the ear would be, and then the microphone is right there in the center of the face. We're hearing out of one side, but we also have the other side of the Paltors here, which covers the other ears, and that is going to go into the other port. So now you have a configuration where the Infantry Commando is getting commands and communicating back to his base. So now you can also put this light/camera thing back on, and now you have two ports available on either side to plug in. So now you can have that on both ends, and you can still bring your quad nods down. So if you're buying these in multiples, now you can kind of differentiate between your particular soldier. There's also one other element I want to highlight in regards to this new sculpt, and it does open up even more compatibility and more customization in the future, I might say, in the future for our Action Force figures. And that is going to be with this front pouch. The cool part is this can actually come off. So you can see here, it is in here on two ports, And if you kind of wiggle it out, all right, just like that. Now you see where these two plugs are on the chest and here on the back. Now in the past, these things were kind of glued in place, but I think what Bobby's going to be doing is, producing that pack and producing more customizable pieces for collectors. So again, yeah, it's kind of ugly when you got these two empty ports, but you have this piece here that is perfect for putting a flag or anything. And we have this circle. Again, could be used for an emblem or whatnot, but that's a cool little nod to what we could potentially see in the future. And you don't have to worry about taking the plate off the figure. It just slides back into place via tension, and there you go. So now let's get him loaded up with his other gear. So we zoom back out so we can get a full view of the Infantry Commando, all kitted out here, holding his rifle, sidearm magazines, and here's the backpack profile. Pretty thick. Obviously he's going to be carrying a lot of gear back and forth, and then we have the loaded out ACH helmet here with Paltors, quad nods, and a camera. So pretty cool looking overall. So next we'll kind of quickly go through articulation. I think enough of people that watch my videos with Valaverse stuff are intimately familiar with all the articulation points that we have, but just for those that are new to the channel, we're going to go through it real quick, and we're going to do that without the weapon or backpack or the helmet, just so we are maximizing everything here. Like I said, we have our usual newly engineered neck with a ball peg leading into the torso, and then the ball hinge. We are seeing a little bit of a limitation now with how far up he can look. We do get that look down. We get a little bit of side to side and attitude because of the ball peg. Again, 360 and such. So that, our new head, is a little bit of a limiting factor. And just so we are thorough here, we're going to put on the other with the beanie and the sculpted impaltors. And additionally, it only goes up as that far. So he's not, if he's looking forward or going prone, he's not going to be able to look up as far as the older versions of figures. We have our butterfly joint, which is very substantial and very nice. We can go up here to do a Y pose. We got our usual bicep rotation. We have our double jointed pinless elbows that can allow you to get up that far. And with combination of the butterfly, you can pretty much reach across the body. With this plate, you're not going to be able to utilize the mid-torso ball peg on this body, so you're going to do a lot of stuff with the bottom ball peg. But you get your twists, you get your sides a little bit, you can arch back fairly well. Forward, because of that pouch, not so much, but it is what it is there. Hips, we have our drop downs. You can kick up pretty far. Thigh rotation, double jointed knees, and aesthetically you can see for Valaverse they actually do put a little bit of deco going into the knee joint, so it's not completely bare, which is nice. And with this body and these legs for Series 5, we have a hidden shin cut. So that's going to simulate your boot cut for T-Man 978, but you can turn this way, that way, all ways around. And then we have our little boots here. You can go down 2 clicks, up a click, and you get a pretty substantial pivot. So across the board, this is the body that we're used to now with Series 5. And it's got pretty much all the articulation I think you're going to need. We are going to have a little bit of limitation because of that pouch and that vest, but overall I think it's pretty well done. So with that being said, now we're going to go into comparisons. For our first set of comparisons, we're just going to go back to March and ZoloCon, which is where we were first able to pick up the ZoloCon exclusive Steel Brigade, as well as the next wave of army builders here. We have the Crimson Infantry and the Ghost Operator. Now I pulled these two specifically because it is the camo deco that is one of the highlights of both these figures. Again, the camo pattern is similar in regards to the style of the deco, but that woodland theme looks really good. Another thing, if you can really tell here with the tactical shirt, we have a zipper up top, and that is similar to both of these army builders, which means this is off of the Recon Corps upper torso body buck. Arms are identical. You can kind of see the indentations here of like the little padding on the forearms, which is synonymous across each one of these guys. Shin and feet, as you see, this has the unbloused trousers going over the boots, same as what we have here with the Ghost Operator. You can see the similarities here between the Crimson Infantry and the Infantry Commando 2.0's helmet. One final thing to talk about with these two is the similarities in regards to, like, again, their AR, their sidearm, their magazine holders are identical. Obviously the plate is different between the Steel Brigade and the Infantry Commando, and you can see the differences between the backpacks here as well. Here's the main comparison I wanted to show off to you guys, and we have the original Dorkside Toys exclusive Infantry Commando. Came out about 2 years ago, standing alongside now the new Infantry Commando 2.0. And it's very telling, you know, the advancements that Valaverse has gone through in regards to their tooling and their figures and just the level of detail. Obviously the deco and the camo between these two are vastly different. We see a lot of the older plate armor here with his combat blade, carabiner, handset that wraps around to the radio here, molded and glued into the back of the plate armor. Magazines up front, different type of assault rifle. This one here is a much, it looks a little more detailed obviously, and it has its own sculpted in suppressor. I do say this guy has the better sidearm. Other than that, I mean, it's just a real night and day difference between these two figures. So yeah, that's a really cool comparison. Not just the fact that you can still mix and match these guys and have them in your environment, but it's just such a vast difference between these two types of figures with only a couple years in between. So with all that being said in our comparisons, the other cool part about Valaverse stuff is the customization options that you can have here with your figure. Let's just go ahead and do that right now. Let's strip him down, and then we'll talk about some of the alternate things we can do here, okay? And here is our Infantry Commando stripped down, and like I said before, he is definitely using that Recon Corps body. But let's swap out some heads first off, and let's see how well they all look. And let's try our from head pack. We got our blowback with the squinty eye. We'll just plug that in here. Ooh, well, I'll-be. That doesn't want to seem to go on very well. There we go. Just need a little bit of grease on that. So there is blowback on this new body buck. And you can see what I'm saying about the differences in the head proportions. You can see like how his head on that body is much smaller compared to the head that's on here, right? Width is, or the height may be okay, but if you look at the width, this is definitely a thicker head going on, right? Maybe it's just my eyes, I don't know. But let's see how well he can wear the updated ACH with all the gear. And here's what I'm talking about. See how loose that is? That's the new helmet. So definitely this head is bigger. All right. So keep that in mind when you're swapping things around, and we'll continue to mess around with a couple other heads. Maybe it's just because it's blowbacks. You know, we'll go from there. So let's take this off and try another head. So note to self, because that ball peg, it works, but it doesn't work. You're definitely going to need to apply heat onto some of these heads, because when I tried to remove this after pushing it on, it took the neck out from the ball peg leading into this piece here. So just for your awareness, if you're going to put a head on there, an older one, make sure you heat up the head before you put it on. So that way you don't say that it broke and all this other stuff and deal with things. So I'm going to pull out the gas mask head and the old balaclava head. So this is the old balaclava head with the actual goggles that wrapped around, right? Different texture and stuff. But you can see that this the tan is pretty much the same. Definitely a difference in the size and scale of that head. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to put it on. It's not going to look right. But what if we try the gas mask? And this one I did take the filter off. That actually looks pretty good, I think. The greens kind of match up, right? The head is proportioned because it is one piece and such. I think it definitely looks good on this figure. The next head I'm going to try, just because I don't have the, you know, obviously the Steel Brigade Chace figure, but I did want to see what a Desert Steel Brigade head would look like on here. Again, the browns are close, not completely 100% accurate, but this is another instance where I think the older Steel Brigade head can be fudged, but it's kind of like looking at the Reaper body and head where that face was kind of smushed in. That's the kind of feelings I'm getting off of this here. Plus that neck is higher, so without even pushing this down, it's going to be, it can work, but it's not, I think, the ideal head. We're going to try the Flash Thompson Marvel Legends Agent Venom head, and that slides on perfectly easy, and that looks really good. Again, I think it's because the proportions of the head. So those were some head options that we were looking at. We'll try one last head, and that's going to be the version 1. Well, I was trying to heat it up and trying to put it on, and it was not going, so I didn't want to break my figure. But there's use your imagination. There's the version 1 Infantry Commando head on the new 2.0 body. So that's some head swaps. Let's talk about hands. So some of the issues that some people were facing within Series 5 was when you took these hands out, the peg was a little large and hands were kind of spinning around. Now I've pulled the hands off and on of this guy a couple times without any issues. All right, but let's try using our Hand Pack Bravo and Hand Pack Alpha for some alternate looks. From the hand packs, we have our trigger safety hand. We'll swap out for this side, and then we have two different hands for the one we already pulled off. This is the pointing, two-finger pointing hands, and then we will we're going to go back on this one here for the dark-skinned plain ungloved hand. All right, so let's go ahead and with the one we have here. So this is the older hand pack. Slides in. Oh yeah, that fits perfect. In and out, not a problem. So let's pull the other one off here, and we're going to put in the darker skin tone hand. So there's that, and again, fits just right. So the hand packs are going to be essential, I think, if you want to use that emotive stance. All right, there we have the lighter skin tone holding that little dagger that came with the hand pack, and then we have the Major Look hand. Stop staring at his crotch. Trigger doesn't like it. So final impressions of the Infantry Commando 2.0, the ToyCon New Jersey / ToyTuber Expo exclusive for 2025 from Valaverse. I think it's a decent update to a classic figure, as well as newly sculpted weapons in regards to his assault rifle, the Maxim 9. You know, we have new backpacks here, a new ACH, and new attachments and accessories for this guy. And if you are very astute throughout this video and noticed this head, as well as the other head here with the sculpted on Paltors, we're going to see these heads again with the black, with the Corsair. So that's going to be happening here. Last estimate is March 26. Definitely the whole idea of the modular plate armor. It's been done by another line, so before you start growling about it, not bad, not too shabby. You know, there are some things that I wish were a little better. I don't like the plain color here for the boots and the gloves. I'm going to have to probably do a dry brush or a wash to kind of give these a little more depth and kind of show off the texture that's in the sculpt. What I do have a little thing with it is like the proportions of the head and the fact that, you know, Valaverse has been priding himself on cross compatibility. We saw with Wave 5 that some of the bodies are slimmer. So if you put the old plates on, they feel a little bulky, or if you try to put the new stuff onto the old bodies, it doesn't fit as perfectly as advertised. Again, people are going to complain that, you know, with this body buck, we have the shin cut here instead of an actual boot cut. Bobby's already kind of explained the design choice for that and the aesthetic. And that's the main thing. I think the look and the aesthetic of this guy and the customization options that are available, at least through with the head, are pretty cool. So, you know, there are some options that we have available. The accessories on the new helmet, I almost lost, because I'm pulling this down, I almost lost this during filming. And these, while they do fit in, you can see this is a little wiggly from that peg in the back. So take some care when you are putting on these accessories. That's kind of my my impressions video of the Infantry Commando 2.0. It's very cool. Next chance to get this guy is going to be at ToyCon New Jersey. So are you excited for this guy? Are you definitely looking for him? Are you in that much of a rush that you're going to pay the aftermarket prices that I've already seen on eBay for this guy? Or are you going to wait until Vala puts the figure up on the website and you can get your own without paying exorbitant prices or crazy shipping? Anyway, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you like this type of content, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the notifications, all the verbiage and catchphrases we do. It's helping out the channel. Constantly working on growing on things. So I appreciate the time that you provided me by watching the video. Leave a comment below. I respond to pretty much everything. And that's the video, guys. So thank you again, and we'll talk again soon. Later.